Hello, everybody. Is anybody there yet? Give it a couple of minutes for everybody to get on. But who is here? Say hello in the chat. Hi, Davina. How are you? I hope I said that right. I hope I pronounced it right. Good to see you on here. Hey, Pam. Haven't seen you in a while. I'm glad you're here. Tell Clara to come on too, if she wants to. See, I know Stephanie is going to be on in just a few minutes too. And you can hear me all okay, right? Trying out a new microphone. We'll see how this goes. Awesome. And mushroom logs. Holy moly. You did good. You've been working, girl. Awesome. I'm so happy that you did them. You're probably exhausted though. Oh, uh, Davina, she did shiitake logs. I'm sure she'll type that in though, but yeah, we did a bunch in, I think it was, did we do them in December, Pam, or was it in November? Now I can't even remember when it was. I know it was before Christmas. We did a whole mess load of shiitake logs. I don't know, like 25 or 30 or something. Tired. Yeah, I bet you are. Holy moly. That's a lot. Yeah, I'm still tired from yesterday. I'll tell you what I did. Something crazy. Well, it was posted on my page already. I did an axemanship class. Pam, you would be proud of me. I chopped a tree down. Now, granted, it wasn't a giant tree, but I chopped a tree down with an axe. So we'll give it a couple of more minutes for some folks to get on. And let's see, everybody, are you all on here watching from YouTube or Facebook? See. I'm going to try to pop in on Facebook just to see if there's any comments on there. If anybody sees a comment or a question that I haven't answered, somebody type it in capitals. So if you do have any questions for me tonight, just type it in capitals so I see it. Oh, good. All right, you guys are on there. Um, just give it 5 more minutes. See here. Just want to check in, make sure we're not missing any peoples. And Stephanie's going to come on in a few minutes too. After I do an introduction, we're going to chat here. Let's see. Okay. All right. So let's see. We have a few here. Everybody's having a good night so far, and we want to talk about some mushrooms tonight. So I'm just going to do a fast introduction, just for some people that don't know me. My name's Anne Marie. I'm the forager chick. I live in Georgia, and I love everything to do with wild herbs and mushrooms. I'm a fungus freak, and I love teaching people to do what I do, to either forage and eat the foods or to make medicine or products with them. So I love everything wild, and that's why I'm here. So we're going to just have a fun talk today about mushrooms. And I just thought this would be a nice topic, especially since we still have another 2 months before it's morel season, and I can't wait to see some morels. I don't know about any of you guys. Who's itching to get out into the woods and get some morels? But, yeah, there are some mushrooms right now at this time of the year in the winter, and I'm actually kinda surprised. So, just a couple of weeks ago, we found lion's mane and oyster mushrooms and shrimp of the woods, turkey tails, bluets. And for the past couple of weeks, there's been like nothing. At least I haven't found anything. 2 weeks now. 2 weeks I haven't found a stinking mushroom. So I'm hoping this week to get out there and find a whole bunch more. But right now for January, you asked Pam for January, definitely oysters. They're out there. They should be out there. And the same with lion's mane. Lion's mane will be out for quite a while until it gets warm. And then I didn't even finish my introduction. I totally forgot about that. That's all right. Um you should still have bluets out now. Turkey tails will be out until it gets warm, so they'll be out for quite a while as well. And what is everybody's favorite mushroom? Tell me in the chat what your favorite mushroom is. My favorite My favorite, I'll tell you, it changes according to what's in season. So right now, my favorite is probably lion's mane. I think my all-time favorite is a toss-up between morels and black trumpets. I can't tell you which one is my favorite really. Oyster. Okay, oysters, your favorite, and lion's mane, Davina's favorite. Awesome. Okay. Cool, cool, cool. So yeah, there's so many out there right now. And, springtime, there's always this lull with mushrooms. Like sometime around February, there's nothing out there. And I have no idea why. I don't know what happens. And for some reason in February, it's just kind of quiet. And I think it's because we're all getting ready for morels to pop up in March. And we'll see. There's this really cool mushroom site for morels. I was just trying the morel. Oh my gosh, I totally forgot what that site is. Morelsightings.com or thegreatmorel.com. And once the morels are seen in California, then like couple weeks later, somebody spots them in Georgia, in Augusta, and that's when we know they're on. So we still got a little while to wait for that. So for now, you want to look for your oysters and your lion's manes and stuff like that. So yeah, my favorite changes with whatever's out there. Aw, you never found a morel? Tasted a morel? Yes, yes. We can talk about the location for morels, where you can find them and stuff like that. So we could definitely talk about that. Just see. Sorry, somebody's trying to get on with me and they're having a hard time. Huh? Hmm. All right. So Steph's trying to get on here, but she keeps getting kicked off. Not sure why. It might be something to do with um, her internet or whatever's going on. So yeah, let me answer your question first, or mention to Davina to find the morels. So in Georgia, especially in the South, to find morels. And I think, are you, you are in Georgia, right, Davina? I think you're in Georgia or South Carolina. Anyway, you want to find bottomland. So areas that are wet, near creek, low-lying areas with lots of privet hedge and ash trees. Coming. Oh, yeah, you're fine. So those are the three things. You want the bottomlands, kind of sandy, loamy soil. You don't want heavy packed clay. And if you see too many oak trees, there's not going to be any morels at all. You want ash trees. So if it's in an area where all you've seen is chanterelles, you're not going to find morels there. Just saying. So you want heavy privet, ash trees. And I did a video last year on finding morels. So if you guys, after you're done watching this or before morel season, go ahead and watch it. It is on YouTube. And it was a live stream too. And I showed a lot of different areas of where you can find morels. And if it don't look snaky, you're not going to find a morel there. So just saying, be prepared to crawl under privet, through hedges, get dirty, get poked by brambles and stuff like that. So, oh yeah, Stephanie is over there. Let me see if I could get her in. You're welcome. All right. Hey, Steph, you're on here now. We'll see if you can stay, if you can hear me. Aw, I think we keep losing her. All right, we'll see if she comes back. Um, So yeah, I wanted to do this little talk on here just because a lot of people have so many questions about mushrooms, about not just where to find them and stuff, but what are they good for and how do you cook them, what recipes to use them in, different things like that. So if you have any questions, put them in a chat. I did have a few questions from people that aren't on here today, and one of them was, can your mushrooms be frozen? And there's a couple of answers to that. So you can freeze lion's mane mushroom raw. You can freeze chicken of the woods with some okay, you could freeze that, you could freeze hen of the woods, but the best thing to do if you do wanna freeze your mushrooms is to cook them first, and you don't have to cook them all away. Just saute them, get some of the moisture out of there, and put them in a good Ziploc bag and get all the air out of there, and then this way, when you're ready to cook them, you can go ahead and do that. So if you were gonna use, for example, chicken of the woods in a soup or a stew, you can go ahead and freeze it raw, but if you're gonna cook them, like you wanna fry them, make the fried chicken sandwiches, what you could do is do all your battering with them, then freeze them, like, chicken cutlets, and then you can go ahead and fry them, and you'll probably do better in a deep fryer or to put them in the oven. But that was one question that somebody had asked, and let's see what else. We had another question. Um, Somebody asked me, "Are mushrooms good for dogs?" And they are. The answer is yes. A lot of people thought that, you can't give mushrooms to dogs because it's bad for them. But mushrooms are really good and they're healthy for dogs. And of course, they have to be cooked. So that's another thing, not just for dogs, for people. Your mushrooms need to be cooked. Don't eat them raw. Even the store-bought ones, you shouldn't eat them raw because mushrooms contain chitin, and chitin, um, it holds back all the nutrients in the mushrooms, but you can't digest chitin, and that's why some people do have stomach issues after they are, eating a raw mushroom, so you don't wanna eat any raw mushrooms if you can. Same with dogs. So the best thing you can do with dogs is a couple of different ways, and I'll just talk about this part briefly because I know a lot of people don't realize that you can give mushrooms to dogs for illnesses just like you can for people. You can make a mushroom broth for yourself and put some in a little container and then add like a tablespoon or so over your dog's dry food or wet food, however you feed it, and just give it to him daily. That's one way of doing it because it has the hot extracted polysaccharides in there. So it's helpful for any illnesses and also just to boost their immune system. And another thing that I just learned, and I just learned this today because, we learn something new every single day, that maitake, or hen of the woods, we love that mushroom. It's a fall mushroom. It's good for the dog flu. Yeah. So, um, you could just make a broth with that too, or you can get the extracted powder. So that's another way. There are some companies out there that sell the mushroom capsules or mushroom powders for dogs specifically. So, to just add like a teaspoon of this or a half teaspoon of that. Or they come in like little chewable dog treats. There's a few companies out there that have that as well. Um, but yeah, give doggies some mushrooms, especially if they have any illness or if they're older mushroom, older dog. My older dog that passed away 2 years ago, Luke, he was so sweet. He was 16, something like that. Um, he had a lot of issues going on in his body his last couple of years, so we would give him reishi and turkey tail and shiitakes. He always ate shiitakes all the time, but the reishi and the turkey tail were usually in the broth, and sometimes I would do the little supplements in the treats, and I would give him those as well. Let's see, does anybody have any other questions before I move on? Let's see, I think Steph's trying to get back on, but I had a guest that was coming on that was gonna talk to us. All right. Anybody else I don't see? Let's see. Do, 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 do. Any more comments before I go on? I just want to make sure y'all are hearing me and everything is good. Just give it a yes or something in the comments because I don't want it to be me that's going out on y'all and you can't hear me. Okay, let's see if everybody is on here. Just give me a minute, y'all. Oh, good. All right. All right. I don't know if Michelle is here. All right. Waiting for Michelle to get on here too. She's in one of the foraging groups and she was going to come on here. So hopefully everything's showing up over there on Facebook, not just on YouTube. Okay. So there was what other question do we have? Ah, so if we talk about medicinal benefits of mushrooms just for a minute, um, right now because they're out are the turkey tails. And I think everybody here knows what a turkey tail is that's on with me right now. Turkey tails grow on wood. They have a velvety top to them and they are a polypore. So if you look on the underside, they're white with little holes in them instead of gills. And but the furry part on the top, the velvety part, it's has zones of colors. So sometimes they could be blues, they could be oranges, browns, but those mushrooms are out right now and collect them when you see them. Just collect them and dry them and do dry your mushrooms if you're going to dry them in a dehydrator or in an oven on very, very, very low because mushrooms don't air dry very well. If you try to air dry them, what happens is in about a year, not even 6 months, and you have a jar full of these air dried mushrooms. If you look in the bottom of the jar, you'll have all these little white bits, and sometimes you'll have little critters in there because bugs lay eggs inside mushrooms. I know that can be gross and creep some people out, but they do. And so you kill the eggs by putting a little bit of heat to them by putting them in a dehydrator on low or putting in the oven on low. And this way your mushrooms are fine and you'll have them 6 months to a year and longer. Mushrooms do keep for many years once they're dehydrated. So that's good to know. So when you find them, go ahead and get bunches of them and just store them up. You can use those in soup stocks. You can use them in teas and you can't eat them because they're too tough to eat, but you can put them in your soup stock and you can put them just in a pot of water and bring some water to boil and simmer it down and reduce it and drink it as a tea. I personally like it in my soup stocks better because you don't taste it. I mean, turkey tail doesn't really have much of a taste. It does have a nice little smell to it. Um, no, okay, hold on one second. Pam just asked about the 2-year-old dried turkey tails. No, they are fine if they were dehydrated or if they were dried in the oven. Or if you look in them and you don't see any crumbles at the bottom, if you did air dry them, you're fine. You were lucky then. But turkey, all the mushrooms, the dried mushrooms, they can last like 5 or 10 years. They're not like herbs. They last a long time, which is amazing to know. I had no idea. So you're probably fine. We can look at them if you want. Um, but turkey tails can also be ground, but it's really hard to do. You need like a Vitamix, something really strong, because otherwise it get really fluffy and it's like cotton eating cottony fibers. So that's one of the mushrooms that I tend to tincture, and then we do an alcohol extract with that first. And when the alcohol extract is all done in about 2 weeks, I strain it out and I take the mushrooms that are left in there and I put them in a pot with water and decoct it down, bring it to a simmer and reduce it down. And then I put the two together because the alcohol portion of the tincture contains triterpenes, which is anti inflammatory, antibacterial, antiviral. And then the water part of the tincture contains the polysaccharides, which are good for your immune system. So this way you get both. So that's another way of doing it. Um, Even another way would be you could purchase the powdered extracts, which sometimes are dual extracted with the alcohol and the water, or they're just the water extracted and then dried. So that's another way of taking it, and you could just add that to um, a smoothie or add it to whatever you're eating, and you could do that yourself too if you want to. If you have a really good dehydrator, you could do the decoction where you simmer down the mushrooms in the water, and then you pour it onto some parchment paper and put it in your dehydrator. Now you're going to have to do a little bit at a time so you don't make a mess, and then once it's dried, it's a dried liquid, you could powder it up and just put it in a little coffee grinder and grind it up, and then you have your own extracted powder, so that's neat. Um, I tend to use a lot of my mushroom powders in spices because that's another way to get your mushrooms. Just add them into your spice blends. You can make ranch dressing with mushroom salt and put that in together. I make a barbecue seasoning that has porcini mushrooms in there, and I even add a little wild herbs in there like nettles and dandelion. So it's a good way to hide all the greens and the mushrooms from certain people in your family that might not want to eat them. So, trying to think what else. But oh yeah, sometimes this happens, you start talking and you totally forget about what it was you were going to say. Um, the turkey tail mushrooms have like one of the highest polysaccharide strong ones I called. I'm not going to get into the whole scientific thing about it because that's just not me, but it's called PSK and hold on, and PSP. And so those two polysaccharides have the same compounds that Crestin has. And Crestin is a drug used in Asia. I think it's in Japan. And they use that as an anti-cancer treatment. Um, so if you could use your mushrooms for that instead and not get the big C, that would be really good. Does anybody here use a mushroom as medicine, not just as food? Like, do you use lion's mane or does anybody use um, turkey tail, shiitake, anything like that? Maitake. Come on, somebody on there must. Reishi. Thank you. See, I totally forgot all about reishi. Oh, okay. And you've made turkey tail tea. That's awesome. I love it. Yes, it boosts your immune system. Very good. Reishi, I'll go to that one for a moment. So, reishi is also known as the mushroom of immortality, and we all call them reishi. They're all in the Ganoderma family, and there's several of them. The red reishi is the one that usually grows in Asia, and um, out west, I think they have the red reishi too. We have we just call them all reishi. We have 3 varieties here, the Ganoderma curtisii, Ganoderma tsugae, and Ganoderma sessile. I believe that those are them, but they're great for your immune system. They're also an adaptogen, which helps your body deal with stress throughout the entire body, not just stress, stressors in the body like heart health and liver health and um, adrenal health and stuff like that. So reishi is a good one, and that's one that you do want to take as a supplement, a tincture, or put it in some soup stock because it is really bitter. I mean, bitter is good sometimes, but reishi tea, that's a bitter one. Let's see. Somebody uses shiitake powder. You just capsuled some. That's good. Shiitakes are great. I grow shiitakes. I never hardly sell shiitakes because I use them all the time. And for a few of you that don't know me, I eat mushrooms almost every single day because I don't eat meat. I do eat chicken and fish and stuff, but I eat mushrooms almost every day. So shiitakes are one of my big one, and I love to make like a shiitake burger. I just chop up shiitakes and mix them with chopped nuts, pecans, and sometimes I'll throw egg in there and some breadcrumbs and Parmesan cheese and mush it all together and then bake it. That's really good. Let's see. Oh, somebody else here has made double extracts, powders, and salad tree extracts. Awesome. Awesome. I think I think that solid tea extract is kind of what I was talking about before. The person I don't see a name on there, so the person that mentioned that. Hold on. Let me see. I think I can put this up here. There we go. The solid tea extract, is that the same as you make your decoction of the mushroom and then you take it and you pour it on parchment paper and put it in the dehydrator? Is that the same? I think it is. And someone mentioned the white parts of the reishi mushroom are supposed to be edible. Yes, they are. So I don't know. Um, I've not eaten them because to me, the reishi, as soon as I get it, I slice it up and I dehydrate it, like as soon as I get it. So let's see. We have somebody else in here. Oh, you would a late one. Oh, okay. What do you recommend? I'm going to show your comment if that's okay. What do you recommend to do as a beginner? What resources can I use to start my journey? Okay. Well, first, I would suggest being in one of the mushroom groups, especially if you are, I don't know if you're in Georgia or not. Are you? Mech? Is that how I say your name? Mech or Mech. I don't want to say it wrong and mess it up. Join one of Okay, join one of the Facebook groups like the Georgia Mushrooming, North Georgia Mushroom Group, but Georgia Mushrooming, or the Foraging Group, Georgia Foraging Group, Northeast Georgia Foraging. Any one of those would be great. Oh, good. All right. I just call you James. All right. Thanks, James. So I would do that and just like soak it all in. What everything that people are talking about with the mushrooms and stuff like that. So another good thing is to get a book. A really good local book is Mushrooms of the Southeast by Todd Elliott. My absolute favorite book. So this book is easy to use and it's big, but it's not so thick that you can't find the mushrooms. I mean, I have found plenty of mushrooms out of this book here in Georgia. So this one is a really good one. Total newbie, you might want to go with this. You're going to finish this book in like no time. Mushrooming Without Fear: The Beginner's Guide to Collecting Safe and Delicious Mushrooms by Alexander Schwab. But this book is really, really good for beginners. The only problem is there's a lot of boletes in here that we don't have in Georgia. So, but it's a cheap book. I think it's like $14, so it might be worth it. And somebody just mentioned about the Mushroom Club of Georgia. Yes, if you join the Mushroom Club of Georgia, especially join. I think it's $25 a year to join because then you get to go on the private walks. They haven't done many public walks, so they're doing mainly the member walks. They're fabulous because there's so many people there that are very, very experienced. Sam, who runs the group, him and his wife Cornelia, they know just about every mushroom that we find in the woods when we go on walks. So it's pretty cool. And then um, me, you could go to my website, foragerchick.com. I have plenty of resources on there on the blog. I have an online school. There's a couple of free classes and some more intensives. And then I do walks and classes here at my farm in Monroe too. So hopefully that'll help you out. All right. So let's see. Oh, I knew it was Philip. About the solid tea extract, yep. It's funny your name didn't come up. It's probably because I'm on, my live stream, StreamYard, so sometimes it doesn't show everybody's name. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're here, Phil. So, what other favorite mushrooms does somebody have on here? Give me a mushroom or a question. Mm, 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 mm. I know I wanna make sure I didn't miss anybody. Oh, yeah, you just put your turkey tails in your tea. All right, so let me go on. How about, did you know that maitake, the hen of the woods mushroom, I mentioned already that it's good for the dog flu. Hopefully that's okay mentioning that on here on YouTube. I have to be careful what I say. Oh, the name, James, which site? Oh, mine? Here, I'll type it into the chat. Orchard. I talk really fast. Let's see. There you go. It should go on there. And then, um, if I miss any questions, feel free to ask it again because I'm watching the chat and talking to you guys at the same time. Okay, what trees do lion's manes grow on? So, most of the ones that I have seen have been on oaks, and they seem to really love water oak, the ones with the smoother bark, but you're going to find them on oaks. And if anybody else on here that is experienced, I mean, Philip, you might even, I don't know if you found yours on any other trees. And Pam, you have a lot of water oaks, so I'm guessing that's what yours was on. Most of the time, I find them on water oak. So, and you need to look up and down the tree. Usually, a lot of times, they're way up at the top. We the other day, oh, not the other day. How long ago is this? Pam would probably know. It might be more like 3 weeks ago. The last time I found mushroom. Um, somebody told me about this mushroom in a tree in a commercial kind of area, but it was way up in a tree, and there was nobody there. It was a weekend, so I drove past it, and I was like, "Oh wow, I got to come back with my husband. I got to go get this lion's mane." I mean, it was like this big. It was huge. It was huge. So went home, got John. We got our long bamboo pole. It has like a little hook on the top of it. Sometimes we have a paint scraper on there. And I'm like, let's go get this mushroom. I was so excited. I was also nervous because it was in kind of a busy area. And I usually don't try to pick in a busy area, but it was way up there in the tree. And it was just so pretty. It had rained and rained and rained and rained and rained. So there was a lot of lion's manes out that week. So we get there and we pull up. It's a lot higher than I thought. So the pole, I don't know. I guess the pole would have been about 15 feet with two of them together because he had them connected in the center. So he was reaching, 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 reaching up, and this thing was heavy. A little piece fell off of it and went splat. I'm like, oh my gosh, this thing is gonna be so wet. And when it comes down, it's probably gonna weigh like 50 pounds. I just knew it. So he's pushing, 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 pushing. Well, the stick broke, the bamboo pole. So he got to pull back in there and pulled the car right up to it. And he stood on top of my car. I have a little SUV, stood on top of it and still tried to get it. That thing was not coming down. Guess what? The pole and the hook stayed in the mushroom. It stayed there for like a week or two. Nobody got it down. A friend of mine went and got it down. He comes back, "I got your bamboo pole, and I got you some new bamboo too." So, we were kind of excited about that, but yeah, I couldn't get that one. Had to let it go. Oh, let's see. How about any other questions? Yeah, it is pretty funny. That was a good one. The things we do for mushrooms. Oh, no, okay, there you go. There's a question. Let's see. What's the craziest thing you ever did to get a mushroom? I can't be the only one that does these things. Mm. While you're thinking about it, I'll tell you one other story. The first time, it was probably one of the first times I was picking morels. I was with my friend Stephanie, and that's why she couldn't get on with us. She's having internet problems, but we were in this area that had tons and tons of privet. I mean, it was so thick with privet. And here I am. This was probably 7, 8 years ago, maybe even 9 years ago. I had on snake boots. Have you ever seen the snake boots? They're hunting boots, and snakes can't bite through them. They're really strong, but they feel like Frankenstein boots. I don't even wear them anymore. So I'm wearing these because I'm terrified of snakes. And then all of a sudden she goes, "Look." there's a morel. We had to get down on our hands and knees in the dirt. We're climbing under the privet, all the way under there. I mean, I'm on my doing belly crawls, like army crawls. And then I just had this thought. I'm like, what the hell do I have snake boots on? Look where my face is. Oh my God. If I get bit by a snake, just bury me right here. Or if I even see a snake, just bury me right here because I'm going to die. So that was pretty funny. All right. How late can I inoculate shiitake mushroom logs this winter? Right up until the trees start budding out. So you got plenty of time. Plenty of time. Um, yeah. How long would that be? 6 weeks thereabout? So when you are doing mushroom logs for inoculation, your best time is when the leaves fall off the trees and before they bud out. So that's a pretty good stretch of time. Now, of course, if it's summertime and you need to take a couple of trees down, or one just fell in a storm and it wasn't damaged, it wasn't one that was dying, it was a healthy tree that fell in the summertime, don't forget about it. Still inoculate it. It's not going to be as strong. The bark won't be as tight on that tree as it would be in the wintertime, but still go ahead and inoculate the tree. We've done it. We've done it before. Ah, here's a good question. How often have you seen snakes while out in nature in Georgia? Well, up until this past year, not many. This past year, 3, 4. I saw two copperheads, one black rat snake, one, I don't know what kind of snake, but I don't think it was a poisonous one. So this is the first time. I mean, I almost stepped on copperhead with my dog. My friend pulled me back and it didn't move. It just stayed there, the biggest, fattest copperhead I've ever seen. There was something weird about last year. There was an awful lot of snakes out there. I don't like snakes. So I probably, I just, I say a prayer before I go hunting, honestly. And I'm like, look, snakes, I'm not going to hurt you. Don't hurt me. Don't like them. So there's been times though when I have seen a snake when I've been with other people. I am totally a little girl then. I run. I'm like, "Ah, snake's coming," like it's gonna be running after me. Well, Black Racer would, but all right. I know. You just have to get over the fear. They really, I'm learning from other people. They are not going to just attack you. Just be careful you don't step on one. So if you are, and I'll get to the next question in a minute, if you are hunting mushrooms and you have to dig through things or under things, use a stick. You could do that first. And then this way, I mean, don't go sticking your hand in a hole or under a rock because that's where they're going to be. Use your stick first. And then if you see something, you just back away and just go get mushrooms somewhere else. How's that sound? All right. Um, Recommendations on clothing brands and can stand up to terrain, weather, and animals. Okay. So I would say not cotton. You've always heard, I know cotton is great. We love cotton. It's so nice and soft. You want things that are going to be able to, if you get wet, that they're going to dry fast. So any of like running clothes work great. I'm trying to even think of some brands. I'm just having like a little bit of a brain fart. I have a spider shirt. It's called Spider, Spyder. That it's like a polyester blend, and it's very fitted, but it's really warm. And I like that. So if I was to get sweaty, it just like the sweat wicks away, which is great. For pants, I have a couple of different pants that I should have thought about writing these down. That I got at Academy Sports. They have my favorite ones are these fishing pants. They kind of look like leggings, but they have lots of pockets and they have really good material that helps protect you from wind. Um, Duluth Trading Company has several pants that are good, for hiking too, and they have lots of pockets. You want things with lots of pockets. Eddie Bauer has some good pants for, when it's wintertime because they're lined, so you definitely want that. And I do have these really cool, don't have them handy or I'd go get them and show you. I have these cool gaiters. I have a video that I did just a couple of weeks ago. It was talking about like the top gifts to get a forager. And if you look at that, you'll see a whole lot of things that I wrote for foraging. But they're these gaiters that you put over your pants, over your shoes, and they have lights on them, but they're waterproof too. So they're really good with the briars, so you're not getting your pants ripped up. And I love that. And they're nice. They're fitted. They're a little bit loose because I have really short legs, only 5 feet tall. And but the bottom, the material is a really good material, so it stands up well for briars. And shoes, I love my Keens. I have Keen hiking shoes that I've been using. I keep buying a new pair, and I have a shorter pair that the Keens go like up to my ankles, and then I have a Merrell's which are shorter, almost like sneakers. But you want something with a good bottom that can grip the ground. You don't want something that's going to be slick at all because there are times that you have to climb up an embankment or go through water, and my Keens are waterproof too. So good footwear. Socks are always, I'm always going to do smart wool or something like that, no matter what time of year it is. And I hope that helped, James. Oh, wish I could think of the brand of those dang pants, but having a brain fart on that. Okay, so let's see what other questions we have. We have a little bit longer to go. Let's see. How about so much? Yes, yes. Let's see. Um, what other mushroom questions could I answer for you? Oh, you know what you do need for beginners for sure? A good knife. A couple of good knives. Um, the Mora knife, which is on you can get it on Amazon. The Mora knife companion is perfect because it could clip to your belt and it's got a good sheath to it, and you pull it out, and you should always have a folding knife too. I usually like my fixed blade knife better than my folding knife, and sometimes I'll have a neck knife. I guess I like knives. But you want a good knife, and some people like the mushroom knife with the little brush on the end of it. I will, and I only use those when I'm hunting chanterelles. When you're hunting chanterelles, you're going to spend hours out in the field cleaning your mushrooms before you go home because those have all those little crevices, all the ridges in the bottom of the mushroom, and the funnels in the top. So they get a lot of dirt in them. And those I'll usually take a little paintbrush with me. So as I clip my mushroom, I'm using a little paintbrush quickly on it and I put it in my basket so they're nice and clean. So you definitely want a knife, um, a little brush, and hat, of course, bug repellent, and a basket is preferred to go mushroom hunting, but there's some places, you don't want to go chomping through the woods with a big old basket. You could use the little mesh bags. I have one here. There's little mesh, like produce bags, these are fabulous for mushrooms, but don't go filling it to the top unless it's a good sturdy mushroom. If you put like chanterelles in this all the way to the top, you'd fit like 3 pounds, 2.5, 3 pounds. They'd be crushed. They'd be crushed at the bottom. But these are great because they breathe. And I'll get a bunch of these. I usually have 4 or 5 in my backpack, and I'll put my mushrooms in these and then put them in my backpack and put them in there. And whatever's the heavier mushroom, I'll go at the bottom. And oh no, let's see. Can you use that's okay for long questions, we like questions. Can you use mushrooms like an herb, dry it out, and use it as a taste enhancer, or let's say send to a fellow friend in another region? Yes. So I mentioned just a little bit of this before earlier, but you can definitely dehydrate all your mushrooms. Any excess mushrooms that you're not going to eat, go ahead and dehydrate them and keep them separate in jars. Keep them full, like slice them, dry them, put them in a jar. Then, when you want to make a powder out of them, if you want to do it that way, you can put it in a little spice grinder, grind up what you need, mix it with other spices, make a little packet, send it off to your friend. Or you could take the slices that you've dried and mail them to somebody too. That's totally fine. Absolutely. So if you are, and yeah, it's okay to send it into it. I get ones from people in different states as well because we don't have porcinis here. So I have to get my porcinis from other places. And I like to add porcini in my spices because it's so good. One day I'll get to try one fresh. Maybe when I go to the West Coast. I'm going to try to do that this year. My cousin invited me out to Washington State. So who knows, in the fall, maybe. You're welcome. You're welcome, James. Okay. Any other questions for me? Come on. Hunting tips or medicinal benefits of mushrooms? Um, any cooking techniques? Anything like that you want to ask? Okay. When people do get mushrooms, and say you go ahead and you pick a good bit of them and you need to store them. So to store your mushrooms fresh, you want to put them in paper bags, brown paper bags. This goes for the same when you're buying mushrooms from the store. Go ahead and take them out of the plastic unless you're going to eat them that night. Put them in paper bag, write down what's on them, what's in them. Sometimes I have like 4 or 5 different paper bags in the fridge and I have to keep opening them up. So write it down what's in there and they'll keep most of the time for about a week for most mushrooms. If it's the polypores, the large polypores, they last longer, so which is good. The best time of season to start is winter to late season to start. Do you mean foraging or to start shiitake logs? I don't think I understand, James. Ask that question again. All right. So let's see. Sounds like in the winter, the only mushrooms to be found, oysters, lion's mane, turkey tail, etc., are on trees and logs and not growing up from the soil in the ground. Correct. Yes. Those all do grow on the trees. There are some that are growing out of the ground that you can find now. Bluets should still be out there. I found them, like I said, about 2.5, 3 weeks, 2.5 weeks ago. Bluets, those do grow out of the ground. Those are not a beginner mushroom, though. I will tell you, you do have to do a spore print for those. Make sure you don't mix them up. There's another mushroom. I just forgot. I just forgot. So there's another mushroom that grows on trees right now. It's called an enoki mushroom, Enoki, enoki. Not like the enokis that you buy in a grocery store. The ones in the grocery store are white and they're skinny and long. These are kind of goldish brown and they're very sticky and they're small, really teeny tiny. Now, enokis can look like deadly galerina. So those aren't a beginner mushroom. I'm happy to ID it for you. If you do find any mushrooms, you could send me pictures and I would look at them and see what they are. You could post them on Facebook for me or send it to me messenger anywhere like that or get me on my website. But enokis are sticky. Like if you touch the top of them, they kind of feel like syrup. They're very sticky. And then if you look at them, they're really small. I mean small. And they grow in little clusters on trees, oak trees usually. Oak trees. Trying to think what other kind of trees those would be on maybe maple, but they have one identifying feature that is different from the deadly Galerina. So at the very base of the stem of the enoki mushrooms, it's velvety. It's also called the velvet foot mushroom. It's a black velvet little foot, so that's kind of cool. Let's see. Did I miss a question? So yeah, James, what was your I don't understand your question. Ask me again if you can. Um When's the best time of season to start? Winter to late? And I think you mean growing shiitakes, but it could be foraging. And you can forage all year long. There's always something out there. Always something. And if it's not a mushroom, it's a green. So remember, your spring greens will be coming up here soon. They've started a little bit. They did start in December. We had chickweed everywhere, and henbit was growing, and wild onions were growing. My nettles were growing, stinging nettles, and then I had that dang freeze. Everything died. So it'll be back again. It should be back soon. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. So yes, James, you can forage all year long. There's always something like right now, if you go outside, there's onions. Wild onions are out there. Um, there is blackberry root, if you wanted to dig up some blackberry root, and save that, make a tea, you could do that. It's really good. Blackberry root is good for astringency, drying out stuff like diarrhea. Always got to talk about poop, diarrhea, or vomiting, stuff like that. Dandelions are out, so you can dig up the root. The leaves are coming back out now. Sometimes you'll see a couple of flowers. Flowers are edible. Your wild garlic should be popping up, and then the chickweed definitely should be out soon. If it's not already where you are, it should be growing. I'm trying to think of a few others. Pine. Your pine needles are edible. I made the other day. I posted it somewhere. I think I have a video on here on YouTube. But yeah, I think it was the pine needle shortbread cookies. So yeah, it's great. There's so much out there to eat. If you just look. Another edible, I know it's not a mushroom, we got off the subject just a little bit, but there's a plant called crane fly orchid, and at the very base, when you dig it up, it has these little tiny tubers that look like potatoes, and you could eat those. But those, I say, save for an emergency, unless you have a lot of the crane fly orchids out there. So, but to know that they're there, you have it for sure. I love this. Wait, I gotta put this up. So dandelion greens for sale at the Camp Farmers Market last week. I burst out laughing because I'll just wait till the dandelions start coming up. Yes, I know. And now they're like so expensive if you do find them at the market. Granted, they're really big, they're long. And actually, the ones that they have at the grocery store are not true dandelions. Most of the time, they're a chicory because they're so big, unless they have some kind of fancy French dandelion greens that they're growing. But yeah, we got them outside. And some people have so many dandelions that, yeah, you don't need to buy dandelion greens. In the springtime, I hardly buy lettuce because I can't wait to get all my yummy greens out there. But yeah, um, James, definitely, follow along with me on Facebook, or I'm also on Instagram. I'm more on Instagram than I am on Facebook as Forager Chick, and I do post a lot of walks, but I would get with the Mushroom Club of Georgia, especially if you're closer to Atlanta, and you'll see some of the walks. I would bet that they're going to have another walk here coming up soon. And when you're a member, for March and April, there's quite a few walks. I've yet to find a morel with them, though, but you never know. This could be the year. And start asking for anybody that's on here, ask your friends, do they have farmland? Do they have forest land? Do they have hunting land? Wherever it is, start looking for these areas now so that you can say, oh, good, I have 400 acres to go foraging on, and it's a safe place. That's how I feel. It's a safe area to go out and foraging instead of going into public parks. And for anybody that is new, do stay out of state parks with foraging. It's very tempting. I know. I've been in them, and it's like, why are all the mushrooms there? But you don't want to get caught picking mushrooms in a state park. There's a hefty fine. And for me, I'm a certified mushroom forager and instructor. If I get caught with that, I'm in big trouble. So, yeah, definitely. There's so much land out there. Seriously. I think I have now a couple of properties that are close to 300, 200, 300 acres. So I just piece them out depending on what they have. One's a chanterelle place, one's a morel place, which I'm about to lose, and I'm so sad. Um, one's a everything kind of place. Another one is more of like wild greens and stuff. So yeah, definitely look around. All right. Got just a couple minutes. Any last questions? Questions, comments, concerns? Hope everybody's enjoyed themselves. And I do hope I got all the comments. It's hard when you do a live stream. I'm still learning my StreamYard, and I know some of you on here are probably more used to it, or you may not. I don't know. But anyway, it gets to have like all of my streams at once in one place. So I kind of like that. It's cool. But all right. Well, I guess if you guys don't have any more questions, I enjoyed hanging out with all of you, and I hope that. Oh, Pam just asked something. Do critters eat your shiitakes? Yeah, yeah, sometimes they do. It's usually the slugs. The slugs love shiitakes. And then sometimes you'll get, I don't know what it is that takes a big old bite out of it. It's probably a squirrel. You are so welcome. Thank you guys. I'm so glad you're all here and to meet some new friends and hope to see you all again. And you guys have a beautiful night. And yeah, share this video if you could with friends. Um, the more people I can get out to, the better. And then the more content I could bring to y'all. Could be squirrels eating your shiitakes, Pam. Yes, definitely. Little stinkers. But they usually cut it and take it and put it in a tree and let it dry. So, but yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. You guys all have a wonderful night, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.